Oh, no. Somebody's about to kill their brother.
Oh, no.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
Don't
Isn't that
do it.
wild?
Don't do it. Yeah.
This happens all the time, though. You have to, somebody was saying a while back that Walmart, there's a murderer working at a Walmart right now.
There has to be, with the number of employees that
Yes.
Walmart has.
I think they have 180,000 employees or something like that, or more, who knows, but think about that, though. Like any moment, there's just a murderer working there.
Well, and also to touch on the deeper level of today's podcast, it's like, well, what drives an individual to go that far down the rabbit hole? How do you get to that place?
Yeah,
I'm angry enough to murder.
Yeah, I'm watching the show House of Usher on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And so it shows like all these billionaire, and then they're like a pharmaceutical company. And then it kind of goes through each of their kids dying and how he had 6 kids and they all die. But it's kind of it's Edgar Allan Poe, all that stuff. But one of the kids does a binge has a big party, alcohol, drugs, and then wakes up the morning with blood all over his hands. Then he sees the cat dead in a corner. They're a pet cat.
He killed the cat.
Well, he doesn't know. So then he like cleans the cat. He hides the cat. I mean, this guy's got millions of dollars. He's one of the kids of. Sure. So he hides the cat, cleans everything up, and then his partner comes out, and he's gay. And his partner comes out, and he's like, "Hey, have you seen the cat or whatever?" And he's like, "Of course." Automatically, you don't know what's happening, so you're like, I haven't seen her. I don't know where she's at. Maybe she ran away like she did before. And he's cleaned everything up, and he's like, I went and cleaned from our party last night, even though I'm hungover. But how many shows have you seen where the blood is on their hands, and because of alcohol or drugs or whatever addiction, they're like, what the hell happened? Like, did I do this or not? Mm-hmm. There's that. I mean, how many times have you woke up where you're like, where the fuck am I at?
Bro, and when we go down the rabbit hole in that insane addictive life, it was really hard to keep waking up and asking people, what did I do last night? What happened? Did I hurt anyone? And I got really tired of hearing yes as the answer. It was hard to hear when someone said yes, and it was me. You hurt me last night. I used to wake up with blood on me and not know whose it was.
That's crazy.
And 9 times out of 10, they said, "Wow, that's your blood, Dwayne."
Right.
You were bleeding. But that's how unconscious and destructive addiction can be. And now imagine that for an entire lifetime. It's like, I don't want to ever live that way again. It's not worth living that way.
Yeah, it's like to have that whole idea of being out of control, and so unconscious, like you said, that you're completely out of control. It's total chaos. And that's what we're going to get into today. And we're going to kind of do something fun. We're going to talk about a Bible story. Don't tune us out. We're not talking like specific fundamentalist Christian, and we're going to read a verse. So 'cause some people get like real antsy with the whole like Bible or whatever,
Sure.
So it has tons of stories in it, great stories, and you should be open enough, and we all should be open enough to any spiritual text, any book, Walt Disney stories you were telling me about, Pinocchio and
fairy tales.
Yeah, all of that is great.
Any mythological story that might shine some light on my existence and what I'm doing and what we're all doing.
Mm-hmm.
These stories are famous and passed down from generation to generation because they resonate with us in one way or another, whether we are practicing any specific religion or not. They still resonate at a very deep level. Otherwise, the stories would have gone away.
Yeah, and we're not going to get into the Garden of Eden, but we're going to get close. Adam and Eve, we know, had kids. They got kicked out of the garden. Now she has to have pain in childbirth, and he has to till the
soil.
The land, and there's going to be hardship in their lives.
Yes, they have to work. They also realized what it was. They also realized that there's a future.
Yeah.
That's what it meant. It's like, okay, well, you're going to suffer during childbirth, and your existence can be hard, and you have to work. Now you have to deal with the future. Everything's not given to you in the garden nice and easy now.
Right. Yeah. That makes that's so good.
So really one interpretation of Adam and Eve for us is we became so conscious, our brain evolved so much that we were able to understand the idea of there's a future. And we evolved enough to understand time.
Yeah. And that's where like animals don't have that. That's where consciousness and humans,
a dog is not thinking about his bills due in 2 weeks.
How'd you know I was thinking about that?
Because I think about that all the time.
I'm thinking about that too. Yeah. Yeah. No. So the story goes where, and interrupt me. We're going to do like very little parts of it, like just break it down. So they have kids and they have Cain and Abel, or Abel and Cain, however you want to look at it. Everybody says Cain and Abel. And these two guys are doing something that seems to be like a religious practice. Like God had instituted, according to the story, God had instituted this practice of, you work really hard, you do what you need to do, and then you turn around and you give a sacrifice to God. When you're looking at, so let's stop there. So, and we won't get into the sacrifices of Abel and Cain yet, but we were talking about this at the gym, but when you're looking into sacrifice, what does that look like for you, Dwayne? Like, what do you think of when you hear sacrifice?
Now, I'm just extremely grateful for the wisdom that we've been able to tap into, not only through recovery programs, but also there's just a wealth of knowledge in regards to spiritual teachings that's around us. A lot of this stuff we pull off of YouTube. A lot of this stuff I have in my ears and I listen to while I'm cleaning the house. And I'm just extremely grateful that there's this huge education in regards to the realm of spirit. And, some of these older stories, I guess maybe I'm in a position to hear them and they're resonating a little deeper with me. And this old idea of sacrifice that's presented to us in Cain and Abel, the first reference has to be Adam and Eve in the garden. It's like, you're going to work. What does it mean to work? That means I'm going to sacrifice the present for the future.
Yes.
And there are depths of understanding and there's a depth of interpretation, and that reflects my own depth. So a surface level depth might be like, I have to go to work. I have bills that I have to pay. And I'm going to sacrifice time and energy for money. And everyone understands that. Everyone gets that. The majority of human beings live that way. But with this wealth of knowledge that we're around and the willingness to expose myself to some of these teachings and gain a better understanding of how this is applicable in my own life, something that really has resonated with me recently is human beings are the only creatures on planet Earth that can bargain with the future. It's like,
yes,
I'm willing,
that's so good.
willing to make
a
sacrificial decision now, a sacrificial behavior, attitude, idea now that's going to benefit future Dwayne later. But because of the depth and understanding, it doesn't mean benefit Dwayne's pocketbook.
Right.
Or it doesn't mean benefit Dwayne's sex life.
Right.
Or just Dwayne getting what he wants. There's a deeper meaning that kind of goes along the lines of something like, can I play the best game possible? Like, can I live the best life possible? And it might be something like making appropriate decisions now, avoiding what I really want to do. I just want to hang out at the beach all day. I just want to
be drunk all day.
To be drunk all day. I just want to eat cake and nothing else. I just want, and if I'm in the business of doing God's will, life is no longer about what I want.
Yeah, it's always funny. We watched the show, The White Lotus, or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they're in like a perfect manufactured environment.
It's paradise.
Yeah, it's paradise in both places. The one place in Italy, amazing, so beautiful. Love that place. And then the other place was in Hawaii, and beautiful resort, beautiful rooms,
Mm-hmm.
pools, drinks, all the foods you could want, entertainment,
You're weighted on hand and foot,
and it's still a shit show.
and it's hell.
Yes.
And it's hell.
Yeah, it's
the
hell, yeah.
individuals and their egos brought hell into paradise. And that's why that show is so phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
We can all resonate with that. That makes sense to everybody.
But I think that's what Adam and Eve did in the garden.
Yes.
And then it transmuted to their children, you know, as the Bible talks about that. Sin, it uses the word sin, which, you know, in the Greek, sin means missing the mark.
Yes, that's exactly what it means.
We always have such a negative connotation. We attach like going to hell and all that stuff.
Right.
And which, you know, I would advise to you, and this is controversial, but any religion that would punish someone and send them to someplace eternal where there's like worms and, you know, that's not real. Like no loving God, no one would put you in that situation. The universe is looking out after you. Mm-hmm. It's not wanting to destroy you.
Very good.
You know, and it's wanting you to thrive and gain more consciousness, not in this lifetime, make a choice that if you don't make this choice and live this life this perfectly and do all this, you go to hell.
Right.
You know, the hell is, and it's so funny when Jesus, he didn't mention hell very much, but when he did, he talked about it as being the trash pits that were outside the city that were burning all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, so and basically what he was saying is like, it's like a trash bin that's just burning and it's not productive. There's no life there. You know, that's what he was talking about. Like when you're in your addiction, it's hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's hell for the people around you and it's hell for you.
Well, and the trash bits that were burning, that was on earth.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Was reality.
Yeah.
And
he was using it as an example.
That happens to me when I miss the mark.
100%.
My life can get so chaotic.
Yes.
And so filled with shit that I don't know how to navigate it anymore.
Well, it compounds. You know, the next thing you know, you're at 11, 12 years old and there's a bottle and you and your friends want to have fun at night. Mm-hmm. And so you drink some alcohol and then you like that feeling. That feels great at 13. Right. I mean, you know this. You started drinking pretty young, right?
14, yeah.
Yeah, 14, yeah. So then you're like, let me do a little bit of this before I go out with my friends. Oh, we had a great time. This is so much fun. Well, I need this. I'm pretty introverted, so alcohol is, and I'm trying not to use it as much, but alcohol, because I'm not addicted to it, you know, at all. But I use it as a social lubricant, which is kind of a form of weakness, I think, maybe, with my introverted part, because if I get 2 beers in me, then I can talk and have a great time. And if I don't, then I'm kind of shy, a little bit more relaxed, you know, chill, which is whatever. But I think at the end of the day, when we look at sacrifice
mm-hmm.
and we look at delayed gratification.
Very good.
You know, because that's really what it is. It's saying I'm going to put in the work at the gym now because I know long-term I'm going to be healthier. What does healthier mean?
Maybe I get to live another
5, 10, 15, 20 years.
15 years well. I can move around. I have mobility. I have joint strength. I have elasticity. I have flexibility. I can pick up my car keys when I drop them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm 85, but I got it. No problem.
Yeah, I was watching the new movie I didn't see the movie, but I was watching previews of Leonardo DiCaprio with Martin Scorsese or whatever.
It's a Western.
But I think he's like in his late 70s, early 80s. And he's bouncing around, directing. I mean, that's hard work.
Sure.
To be that age and to be able to, you could see he just had a ton of energy and was moving around. You know, he's had to done a lot of physical work.
A lot of sacrifice.
Yes, to get to that level. And this is something that we want to sell ourselves. And this is what the tree's about in the Garden of Eden, because I want to get to the root of the sacrifices. The lie is Satan, the serpent, mm-hmm. telling you you're going to love it when you're super comfortable.
Mm.
Like our view of paradise is White Lotus, but we know that a human being doesn't want that.
Mm-mm.
But that's what we feel we need. Like when in our unconscious state, we want everything brought to us, everything, you know, it's the Wall-E.
Absolutely.
We've talked about this before, but it's them fat floating around, being entertained with goggles on, you know, and then just slurping shakes all day long.
Yep.
You know, we know what that does to us long term, but in that moment, it satisfies that craving.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, when you're giving in and not sacrifice, when you're giving into that cheeseburger, when you're giving into that shake, or when you're giving into that
cocaine,
whatever it may be,
gambling,
when you're driving your car, going straight to the casino instead of spending time with your family, and then lying about it to your wife, saying you had to stay late, all that stuff,
perpetuating that web.
Yeah, that right there is the snake saying, "You'll be fine. This is okay. This is what This is what life's about.
You'll be
comfortable.
Like, you'll become God yourself."
Yes.
And the hubris in that, the lack of humility in that, the ego that's wrapped up in it. Great mythological story that lends so much to my life now, but that's just for me, that's just my ego. That's just my ego stepping in. That's Dwayne's selfishness stepping in, saying, how can I make it about me? How can I make it easy? How can I get what I want? And what you touched on is so important, Jay, that just doesn't work for us. Human beings aren't built that way. A sled dog analogy is great. It's like, human beings are kind of like sled dogs. Like, we're built for a burden. We're built to carry a load. And a sled dog without a sled is pretty lost. And some of those dogs like eat their own leg because they don't have anything else to do. They become destructive. And we're the exact same way. We need a burden. We need something to do. So in this game of life that we're playing, we're all in. This game is going to kill me. Eventually I'm going to die. But I am here and I am participating in my life. So if I'm all in this game, there are some games you don't get to play unless you're all in. Marriage is like that. Sobriety is like that. You got to be all in. Otherwise, you're not really playing the game. Life is the same. So if I'm all in this game of life, why not pick the most magnificent game I can? Why not play the best possible? Why not play the best possible game I can play? That brings me to the question of, well, what's the best possible sacrifice I can make?
Which leads us to the story of Abel.
Very good. My quality. Am I making a good sacrifice, or is it begrudging? Do I hate it? Does it suck all day, every day,
Cain,
going to work?
Yeah.
So each individual can ask themselves. It's like, okay, A, am I sacrificing? B, what's the quality of my sacrifice? What's the quality of the game I'm playing? Am I playing a good game? Or is my behavior in alignment with the God consciousness inside of me that knows honor, that knows integrity, that knows truth, that knows spirit? Or am I spinning a web of deceit? Am I spinning a web of dishonesty and other people get caught in my lies and I have to perpetuate the lie?
That's so good. Whenever you look at the story of Cain and Abel, the whole idea is Abel gave a great sacrifice. He's working hard. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's innocent. He's just living his best life.
Yes.
And doing what he's supposed to be doing. God wanted a sacrifice of a lamb that was, I think, a firstborn lamb or whatever. I'd have to get into the details of the scripture, and he gave that. So
he gave the fat of his flock.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Whatever that means.
The best,
it's just the best. It's the high quality.
So he gave a high quality sacrifice to God.
Yes.
Now, Cain, on the other hand, one was he didn't follow the rules. Number two, he gave kind of he's like, I'm a gardener. I do gardens, so I'm just going to give you some wilted lettuce. We talked about this at the gym.
You can have
Here
the
you
wilted
go, God.
lettuce.
You can have a little bit left over of what I want, all the best for me.
Yes.
And then everyone else can have whatever they want, little pieces of me, but I'll never give my best.
Very good. Very good.
So that's where we're at. So we're at Abel just living his best life, being his higher self, flourishing, abundance, going to town. And then Cain, his brother, he's kind of the addict, being narcissistic, making it all about him. He's a victim to everything. And we're going to see this. The Bible verse that we're going to read here in a little bit is going to tell us exactly who Cain is.
It's selfishness to the extreme.
And he's in all of us.
Which is an addict. Exactly. Very good point. That's in every single human being. That's why it's archetypical. And that's why it's a 3,000-year-old story that still makes sense today. That's still applicable to me today.
When you think of Cain and Abel, and you look at the two brothers, and it's almost like the polar opposites. What are like attributes that you think of when you think of Abel, and then when you think of Cain?
You know what? Abel is a fucking badass. That's the way I like to envision him. And to be a shepherd, shepherds are archetypical because they guide a flock. So you're a leader. But B, we got to kind of understand the history of the writings here. This would be like Middle Eastern mythology 4,000 years
BC,
ago, 5,000 years ago. Like in the Middle East, there were freaking lions. And all you had was a stick and a slingshot and vulnerable, delicious little things to protect.
Right.
So not only are you a leader, but you're it's your job to protect what's innocent from what's out there lurking in the dark.
That's so good.
So in reality, to be a shepherd that meant you were like a man's man. Like you kicked some ass. You could beat a lion with a stick.
Well, I mean, we see the archetypal of a David.
Yeah, and
then Jesus. Yeah,
Jesus is a shepherd.
exactly.
So it's not by accident. These guys are pre-Jesus. And so that's a high aim. That's something you want to be.
That's Abel.
That's an ideal. Like that's an ideal man. Like maybe that man doesn't exist per se, but the idea of that man definitely exists. And that also affords me a direction to head in. It's like that's someone I can look up to. Wow, I want to be like him. And then Cain, I like that you associated it with the addict. That's pretty spot on. Cain's like the selfish addict. Well, what's in it for me? And I just imagine him, his constant
excuses.
Falls. His head's always down.
He's depressed and angry.
He navigates the world with his head down. That's how I used to walk through the world. Like I never looked anyone in the eye.
Something's wrong with me. I'm screwed up. My brother, look at him.
Well, and what's wrong is the world's not treating me right.
Yeah, they're treating my brother amazing.
Look how much they love him. That was the case for me. Yeah. Everyone loved my little brother way more than they loved me. And he deserved it.
Yeah.
He did well.
He was doing well.
He did well. Like things came easily to him. He put forth his heart. He was a state champion athlete. He did well. And it was so easy for me in my unconsciousness to feel jealousy. And that jealousy can birth resentment. And that resentment can turn the places inside of me that should be filled with light into a dark place.
Yeah. With Cain and Abel, it led to murder.
Absolutely.
I mean, he murdered somebody that he loved. I mean, if you ask him, he would have said, I love.
Of course.
I love my brother. Yeah. So whenever you look at, we saw the differences of Cain and Abel. And I want to get into, if you don't mind, reading the first part of that verse. And this is in Genesis. I think it's chapter 4.
I couldn't tell you.
I think it's on the bottom down there.
Yeah, it's definitely in Genesis. Oh, yes. Genesis 4, verses 6 through 7. So this is just the start. So we've precursed by saying Abel's doing well. Everyone loves him. Cain is his heart's not in it, and he's pissed. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen?"
That's so good. Like, that's right there.
Boom. Yeah. Hit him with the first.
These are the two things.
What's the first thing he asked?
This hit me so hard when you were talking about this. And I know we've talked about, give credit where credit's due. Jordan Peterson talked about this a lot, and you were listening to him. I mean, whether politically, whatever you feel of Jordan Peterson, who cares? This is amazing, the stuff that he was talking about. It's just psychology.
Yes.
So, and studying stories and myths. So one of the things that he was talking about that you were sharing with me was these two things right off the bat. The angry and I related it to me like my self-pity, my depression. My countenance has fallen because I'm making it all about me. I'm living in this world where the world is wrong and I'm right. but then I hate myself too. You know what I mean? It's just this chaotic, nasty world. So the only thing that can help me is what I know that will work, and that's my addiction.
Powerful, bro. That's so powerful.
Because that's the only pill I know that I can swallow that works.
That's getting me through the day.
Yeah,
That's what's
exactly.
getting me through the day.
And this is the same. Cain was the same way. It says off the bat, he's angry and depressed.
Mm-hmm.
His countenance is fallen. His head's down. He doesn't know. He's just surviving, and he's a victim.
Yeah, he's a victim to God.
Oh, that's so powerful.
God, if you hadn't put me here, or God, if
you hadn't created me,
you didn't give me such a good brother, I would be okay. And we know very well, we've said it many times before, victims never recover.
Yeah.
So well, there's no chance of me getting any better as long as it's still your fault.
And we saw this with Joseph too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like all the brothers all teamed up.
Oh yeah,
to get rid of that guy because he was doing so well and had favor. So, that spirit of Cain, and that's what we've been calling is the spirit of Cain.
Spirit of Cain
is in every addict. And you have to watch this, and we'll get into a little bit more of this. Where do you feel the anger? Like, especially as a man, let's talk to men now, that anger that comes into a man. I mean, I remember being angry. One of my earliest memories is me being angry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old now. How angry is he every day? How many times a day?
He blows his top. And then if I'm not doing my spiritual work, if I'm not on the beam, I can very easily meet his vibrational level, and I drop down and I can get just as angry.
Yes.
And so I think it's a very natural, primal response for men, to be angry. And it's also, there's some psychologists might say, or therapists might say, well, anger is usually just the mask of fear.
Yes.
Like
100%.
Really what's going on is I'm not super angry. The 2-year-old hasn't wronged me.
Mm-hmm.
All he's done is spilt his lettuce.
Right.
But what's going on with me and my fear is and this is the spirit of Cain, is I'm suffering from selfish and self-centered fear. I'm afraid. Yes. I'm afraid of not getting what I want. And I'm afraid of losing what I have. And what I want is everyone's fucking attention. And what I want is to get it my way. And really what I want is I wanted it yesterday. I don't want to wait any longer. I don't want it now. I wanted it yesterday. And then that just boils up inside of me.
That's
and
so
then
good.
What you see is anger.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see me. I'm not saying, Jason, I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I want. You see me go through the roof. Richard Pryor has that old joke. He says, you know how to get your way? And people look a little cockeyed and he says, act a fool.
Yeah.
Just blow up. And people will be so afraid of you, they'll do whatever you say. Well, just in order to get away from you.
We're seeing that in cities where people are walking into stores acting crazy and they're just stealing whatever they want.
Yeah. Or whatever. It's the memes where they say Karen, Karen memes. It's like, that's the spirit of Cain too. Act a fool. Just to get it your way.
Or how much will we be willing to act a fool to gain attention from a girl or from a guy or from at a party where I'm going to get so drunk that I'm going to take my clothes off, just because I want to laugh.
Guilty.
I want to laugh,
Or
I think we're all guilty.
I'm so unconscious. I don't know how to ask you for attention. I just know how to pick a fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a Marine Corps statement. It's on there's like one of their mottos, marketing mottos, whatever, but it says earned, never given. And I always look at that with attention. It's like, I need to earn the attention.
Very good.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Not like it's not just given to me because I'm not that narcissistic where I should walk around and expect everyone to think I'm amazing. How about, and you talk about this, and one of your mentors said this, do esteemable acts.
Yeah.
When you become an Abel, it's naturally, organically going to happen that people are going to want to be around you. People are going to want to hear from you. You will naturally just become a leader.
Yeah.
Just off of that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
and that's Abel. That's Abel doing well. When you, if I have the spirit of just doing well for the sake of doing well, that's a wild idea. That you could say that another way and say sacrificing for the sake of sacrificing.
Yes.
That's pretty. I mean, we're getting to some deep level spirituality here. People want you around. If my vibrational energy is I'm here to make things better,
yes.
How can I help? The world will open up to you. People will just say, come on in. Like you're set. You'll get jobs, you'll get relationships, you'll be able to evolve and expand. That's what we came here to do as human beings. We came to expand, to grow, to improve, to love, to share. And if my energy is, how can I help? The world will open up to you.
Yeah, it's so interesting. We're dealing in the family now with somebody with addiction and drug addiction. And it's so funny, their response to the, not just I'm a victim, but it's like, you're owed me this. And everyone around, anybody I interact with, I need to take from you. I don't care who you are or what you are. The minute I engage you and we start having a conversation, I need something from you.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking money. It could be like all different kinds of things, you know,
yes.
But it's like, and you know this when you were in your addiction,
Exactly.
it's like I'm going to use every relationship, which relationships are, whether it's with ourselves or somebody else, that's the highest calling for love. That's how you demonstrate love. That's how you have a high vibration, is by being in relationship. Whenever you look at that, and then you look at this person, it's like they don't even know how to love, because they have no idea of what sacrifice is, in the sense of, and I'm not talking about sacrificing yourself and giving yourself up. You know, being an individual is important and all those, but turning around and saying, I'm kind of screwed up. I don't know where my life is right now. I need help, but I know there's something I can do. I can pick up trash. I can go work at McDonald's and make minimum wage, because at least I'm doing something.
It's something.
I can walk around the neighborhood and take a plastic bag and pick up the trash every single day. You know, if I'm in rehab, I can listen to other people, and, you know, or if I've been offered to go into a program, even though I think it may not work, I can still go. You know what I mean? It's like, what causes people in their pride to get stuck in this Cain spirit, you know, where they're just like, okay, yeah, I'll be friends with you, but do you have $20?
What do you got for me?
Yeah, do you have, you know, can I borrow $20 from you? Oh, I'm really down and out right now. I need this. Can you take me for a ride to here, you know? Like the list goes on, but the wording is always taking.
Yeah. You nailed it.
And you know, Cain was probably taking from Abel. And from Adam and Eve.
Oh,
he had to be taking from people, because he's a victim.
Yeah.
So if I'm a victim, then help me. I'm a victim. Like, throw me a lifeline. I need a lifeline of $20, because I'm. And the story is always a lie. An addict's story is always a lie. Like, in the sense of, I need $20 to go to the hospital. I need $20 to get some toilet paper. You need $20 to buy drugs.
Right.
You need $20 to go buy a bottle.
Exactly.
You know, you need $20 to go.
I just need a score.
Whatever. Yeah. What do you think causes that Cain spirit, where we're just wanting from everyone?
I think it's so cool that you did that correlation, man. It's just addict, Cain, boom, boom. Might as well say the same word. It's the same word.
Yeah,
like, that's the same. That's the same behavior. It's the same vibration. We have, and it's good to revisit this. If I'm in my addiction, it's important to understand that I'm suffering from a mental malady and a physical malady at the same time. But the mental component of addiction is I have an obsession for the particular item, whatever it may be: gambling, sex, food, alcohol, drugs.
I'm obsessed with this sin.
Very good. I'm obsessed with, basically, and then we also understand, there's a further understanding that those are just the physical manifestations of the real issue. The real issue is my selfishness. Addicts and alcoholics and anyone suffering from uncontrollable addiction is suffering from uncontrollable selfishness. I just want what I want when I want it. And the drugs, the alcohol is nice because it works immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I get what I want immediately. And what I want is relief from this existence.
Mm-hmm.
So with that understanding of, okay, I'm selfish and self-centered. Now I have an obsession. What's an obsession? An obsession is a thought that blocks out all other thoughts. I love Jason. Jason's a nice guy. I know that. And I believe that in my heart. But if I have a mental obsession
right.
in the middle of my addiction, like I'm actively partaking in it, however much I care about you, can't enter my mind. I'm just in it for what you
because
got
of
from
the obsession.
Me. I have an obsession for me.
Yeah, I get that.
For my selfishness and getting it my way. Even though deep down, I know that I have love for you.
Yeah, so you would take like a married couple and he's addicted to pornography.
Yep.
The obsession
he loves his wife.
Yeah, he loves his wife, of course, 100%. But that obsession of that dopamine hit of he knows that if I watch this, I get a release. I've done this 1,000 times. So this is the program. And I need to hide. That's another thing. The darkness and the hiding and the selfishness.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you call it like a web.
If you can't,
but that web is being built in the dark.
Yeah. If you can't talk about it, it might be an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's so interesting. It's like you talk to, and I have too, and I know you have too. You've talked to couples who aren't open with each other. And it's like, well, have you had a conversation about money? No, not really. You know, we argue about it. I was like, have you guys had a conversation about when you're attracted to another person? No, we'd never talk about that.
I'm not attracted to other people.
Yeah, exactly. I only love him or her, you know.
Yes.
And it's just being brutally honest and shining the light on that darkness. Because when you shine the light on it, it's the Wizard of Oz. It's not as big.
Very great. That's excellent. Yes.
The curtain is easy.
How does Nazi Germany happen?
Yes.
One blind eye at a time. You can get to genocide, millions of people being destroyed, malevolence, deep level of malevolence. One blind eye at a time. Just turn away from the thing you don't want to deal with. Turn away from what you know is intrinsically wrong. Turn away from that thing you're not willing to address. Or you could drag that into the light and you can say, we're not turning a blind eye anymore. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, even if it's embarrassing.
Yeah, even if it's embarrassing, you don't die.
Well, especially if you're in a safe environment like a recovery group or
you
know, any of those where there's other people that have already put the spotlight on it.
Having some nice tools to be able to communicate with people through this process is phenomenal. I have a spiritual advisor, and he taught me very early on in my relationship. It's good to have a check-in. And what we try and do is have a quarterly check-in. And we talk about the 4 major areas of our life. So we talk, in regards to the relationship, we talk about the kids. We talk about our sex life. We talk about money. And we talk about time together.
So if you have a partner or wife, whatever, those are the 4 things.
Kids.
If you can
discuss this with your partner.
Yes.
Kids, money, sex, and time together.
Yeah, and it's so funny because instantly I thought of things that I need to bring up in my relationship.
Yeah,
out of those 4, it's like,
they'll pop up immediately.
Yeah, they pop up immediately. So it's like, what that spirit of Cain in me wants me to keep quiet, not say anything, be the coward, because Cain is a coward.
Put it under the rug.
Yeah, sweep it under the rug and be like, I don't need to talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like, it's so interesting, especially if you're, like, I'll bring up 2 examples. I'll be really bold about this, especially if, like, with my girlfriend, we have 2 different parenting styles. So, and you have several, you know, we're in another relationship and have children from another. So you have that. If you don't talk about that, you're going to ruin the relationship. Like, there has to be some type of agreement or a compromise or respect in a way that that you can understand the other person's parenting, and then you guys are learning together how that happens. Or there needs to be some pretty clear-cut rules on that. with the kids. With money, that's the number one argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not honest, I know people that haven't been honest with their money, and they're like, I know a guy who used to lie about how much money he made to girls to try to get girls,
Mm-hmm.
And then every relationship he had, you just wonder why it doesn't work. I mean, they're coming in thinking he makes triple what he makes.
He's
and then,
built on sand.
Yeah, and then he gets the relationship, and he's like, well, I can't buy these things for you. Well, you make this much. Well, yeah. I mean, so, and then, like with me, like right now, I mean, I had surgery and all that stuff. So when I think about sex, it's like my body is like, no, but that would be a good conversation to have with my partner.
Very good. Yes.
She's been really patient and loving, and I've still been able to kind of like halfway, kind of have fun,
You're there.
like, but it's still like that conversation needs to be had.
Absolutely. Instead of keeping
because
it in
if
the
I had to
dark.
rate it like a 1 to 10, I would put our sex relationship at like a 3 now. She may think it's a 1 or a 2 or a 7 because she knows and understands what's going on. I don't know. I haven't had that conversation. So I think those 4 things, the kids, the money, the sex, and time, and which time that's a good one.
It's so powerful, but just the fact of you being vulnerable enough to discuss, hey, this is what's going on with me.
Right.
And that's bringing that stuff that I'm a little afraid
embarrassed.
of. Embarrassed of. That's bringing that stuff into the light.
Mm-hmm.
And when I shine God's light on it, it has an opportunity to heal. Well, it has an opportunity to change.
The Cain spirit, we'll use the sex thing, I think is really good because the Cain spirit in me could be like, obviously she'll want to get somewhere else.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Maybe I should be jealous if she's paying attention to this person.
And my fear sneaks
or I'm
in.
not good enough right now. She's going to look at me as a weak man because I had surgery. I mean, I can run Cain scenarios.
What's growing in the dark?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, what's growing in
it's
the dark?
Like mushrooms in the dark.
Exactly. Yeah. Keep
no pun intended.
Feed them shit and keep them in the dark. It's
exactly.
Well, that's our crazy thinking also. It's like, bring that out into the light. Otherwise, maybe it's going to keep growing, fester. And again, what's really going on is I have fear.
Yes.
She's going to leave. She's going to leave. Yes. I'm not good enough. I can't perform. Every male has those thoughts. It's very normal. Those are insecurities that we are natural. But
the minute I go
work on it,
if I haven't had a conversation with her, the minute I go to a party or the minute we go somewhere and a guy engages her, instantly, because I put it in the dark for so long,
very good.
My brain could go, oh, she must probably want to fuck him. And then I'm going super evil Cain. You know what I mean?
And what is the face
is
of fear?
Yeah.
Anger.
I'm going to lose. Yes.
Anger is
so then the whole night is ruined.
The party's not going to see my fear.
No.
The party's going to see my fucking anger.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I know to do, unless I have these difficult conversations, unless I have these tools to help me navigate situations now.
So let's get back to this guy. I think this is really, really cool. On the verse, and we'll go heavy into this because this is so good. But go ahead and read the next.
My favorite part. So God had just asked,
calls him out.
Cain,
it's bullshit.
Why has your consonants fallen? And why has your consonants fallen? So the next line is, if you do well, will not your consonants be lifted up?
That's so good.
If you do well, if you just
it's almost
tried,
too simple.
Yeah. It's so simple. It's silly, but most good ideas are simple.
Like you're 6 months, 6 months sober.
Mm-hmm.
You've been 9 months sober, and then not now, but you were 9 months and then you relapsed. But let's say you're 6 months sober. What is doing well for you? Like, that answer.
Yes.
Your higher self knows that answer.
In a millisecond,
maybe it's getting a job, being a productive citizen. Maybe that's the next step for you.
Yeah.
Well, go get a freaking job. You can always give your 2 weeks notice in a polite and respectful way and get a better job. But just go get a job. Like Jordan Peterson talks about, fold your socks in the job.
Yeah.
Have some order there. Bring some order in chaos.
Very good. Clean your room.
Yes. What do you think about that whenever you hear this part of this verse where it's like, do well?
If you do well, don't you think? So what helps me in the understanding of the story, but also so that I can apply it on a personal level is, well, I'm very jealous and I'm very angry and I'm the victim of the world because I'm not getting my way. So now I have the spirit of Cain. Mm-hmm. And then I want God to just, don't you think it could be easy for me? Don't you think I could get my way? And it's God's fault. So now I'm the victim of all these circumstances around me. And who created the circumstances? I didn't do it. Couldn't possibly be me. God did this. So now I'm angry at God.
This is Job's situation.
Yes, and I'm the victim of everyone else because I'm not getting my way. And then God comes to me and says, if you fared well, if you did well, don't you think you'd be accepted? My ego and my selfishness wants God. I want God to take responsibility for my shitty hand. Man, I got a tough hand in life and nothing's ever went well for me. It's God's fault. Don't you think you should take responsibility, God? And then God comes to me and takes no responsibility. He says, this is on you. This is on you and your behavior. It's your fault.
Yeah, I had an employee come to me and they said, why did you promote her over me? You know, and I was like, well, you're always on your phone all the time. You're on these dating apps. You're literally texting when you're supposed to be working. You're very smart. So you can do something in 10 minutes that would take somebody an hour. So you hurry up and rush through it to get it done. And then you go right back onto your phone. I was like, I need somebody giving their best. I was like, if you gave your best, you'd be the number one employee by far. And I told him this, like 10x. Like you would be, you're so smart and almost genius status in your head that all of life has been easy for you.
Right.
You have the sharp axe and you can chop a tree down with just a couple of swings. So the rest of the time you're just goofing off, playing off. You've never took any responsibility in your life. Everything's been easy for you. You're good looking too, so you can easily get a relationship. But what happens? After 6 months, you get bored, you just hop into another one. You have and this is, I want you to talk about this in doing well. The reason he was depressed, the reason he was so angry, I think, in doing well is taking responsibility.
He didn't want to take any responsibility.
Did not. So if you're a victim, you don't have to.
I want God to take responsibility, not me. And when I shoulder responsibility, when I say, okay, I'm going to do it. Actually, not only am I going to do it, I'm going to perform this task to the best of my ability. Going to work, being a father, being an entrepreneur, being an employer, being an employee, being in traffic. Those are all, I mean, that's just the first half or hour of my day. You know what I mean? How many roles do you play throughout the day? So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. That means I need to shoulder responsibility. I'm willing to take the responsibility for how my life is unfolding. It's no longer Dwayne is the victim of the circumstances around him. Now it's, I'm taking my power back.
Yes.
So good. Do I want to be the victim of my life or do I want to be the creator of my life? That answer is simple for us. I want to be the creator of my life. What does that mean? That means you better be willing to take responsibility for all of it, for how your entire life is unfolding. And that's a radical idea. Most people are not willing to do that. They're saying, no, it's the government's fault. I'm blaming the Middle East. It's their fault. I can't have inner peace. It's their fault. It's like, no, fuck no. It's on me, regardless of my outside circumstances.
Yeah, I'm stuck at this job. It's like, well, quit.
That's a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
If I'm willing to take responsibility, 100% responsibility for what's going on inside of me, that's freedom. And that's a life worth living. That's Abel. Abel takes responsibility. He's like, he does it. He gives the best he can give.
And magic happens.
And yes, and everyone loves him.
Well, because everybody if you're giving your best, it's the archetype of abundance.
Yes.
Things are going to happen.
Very good.
You're opening up that vibrational window where people are going to be, and like you said, people are going to be naturally drawn to you. Opportunity. It's like when opportunity and hard work, if they meet together, then that's luck, that old statement, luck begins to happen in your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen because you're selfish all the time and you stumble on something.
No, the vibration of abundance, the vibration of shouldering this responsibility that maybe theoretically, I believe that's what brings more to me. That's what fills up my life. It's like, no, I'm ready. I'm willing. I want it.
But it's so funny, our society, especially here in the United States and developed countries, UK, all those areas, Australia, we're so into shortcuts, cheats, ways around it. We're so into finding ways of missing the mark, but it looked like we did good.
Very,
Like the Instagram influencers, they're sharing like Hermes belts, to make it with the H to make it look like, you saw it all the time when you used to work at a high-end restaurant.
Yeah.
How many people tried to fake it, basically you heard the statement, fake it till you make it. And it's just you constantly mixing the mark, where if you put a decade of time, 10, 12, 15 years, and you were an Abel and you worked your ass off and you gave your best to everyone around you, you're going to be successful, period.
That's
like, there's no way around it, no matter where you're at.
So powerful, man. Another thing that we've been focusing on recently is the normal day-to-day stuff, the mundane, normal, habitual, ritual, everyday stuff. If you do the math, that's going to make up 70 to 80% of my existence. Now, what's my attitude during the normal day-to-day stuff? Am I pissed off? Am I resentful? Do I
have the Cain spirit?
Begrudgingly?
This is what got me, because it's like I'll do a bunch of stuff, but I'm going to be angry about it.
I fucking hate it.
Or I'm upset at this person. I'm a victim. This person said this to me. Yes. It's just that spirit of Cain.
Or can I bring my presence? Can I bring the part of me that's aligned with God? And can I do it to the best of my ability? Can I vacuum my house to the best of my ability? Can I be present while vacuuming the house?
Instead of me being like, why am I vacuuming? I shouldn't have to vacuum. I vacuumed 3 times in a row.
Exactly. That's
just victim. Yeah.
Why do I have to buy the laundry detergent? Did you know I'm the only motherfucker that buys laundry detergent in this house? Yeah. It's always on me. It's like, yeah, you're the one that should buy the laundry detergent. They're your kids.
Right. Yeah, it's so wild. Yeah, it's so quick how we'll drop into this.
What spirit am I bringing to the normal day-to-day stuff? If you do that all the time, like you just said, could you imagine a decade? Could you imagine 2 decades of bringing presence, responsibility, consciousness to the normal day? That's more than 80% of my entire life. That's a good life. That's a life worth living. That's an archetypical life. That's the ideal. That's why it's off in the distance. It's like this star. Like that's what you aim at. It's a direction to head in. Head in that fucking direction. You're going to miss it big time, but just head in that direction.
Yeah, so I want to, because of the sake of time, let's move on to the next part. I think this is so good, and you explained this so perfectly.
Shoo.
This is why we get fucked up. Literally.
Okay. If you did well, would not your consonants...
This is the verse, guys.
Okay, so if you did well, would not your consonants be lifted? Very next line is, and if you don't do well, sin is crouching at your door, and its desire is for you, but you must master it. So there's just so much packed into this line. It's hard to, we could do an entire podcast on that line. So if you don't do well, if you continue to miss the mark, if you continue to have the spirit of Cain, if you continue to go through the world as an addict, selfish, and self-centered, this is how you live your life. You're selfish and self-centered. The whole freaking thing is that way. Sin is crouching at your door, and its desire is for you. So Jordan Peterson, I'll just say it. I love this guy. I'm so lucky, blessed, and honored to be able to be studying his work, and some of the stuff that he has exposed to me has transformed my life in a very positive, helpful way. Right. Not to get into anything else.
Yeah, we would probably disagree with him on some issues and some not, like everybody.
Some things I would agree with, some things I wouldn't. But I'm very grateful for the teachings that I've been exposed to.
Right.
And one of the best interpretations of this line came from him and his research. And basically, so what's going on here is sin is crouching at your door. So before we were in the garden, what was the major predator of human beings? It was snakes, cats, and birds.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just smash those together
Mm-hmm.
and call it predation. That's why the archetype of a dragon is so popular.
Right. 'Cause it's all
What are
three,
those
yeah.
things mixed together? Well, that's a
Yeah.
freaking dragon.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing that kills you. So the thing that kills you is predation. The thing that's a predator, a cat, a big cat. It's crouching at your door. And now you willingly miss the mark. So you sin. You behave in your selfish self-centeredness. Guess what you're doing with this predator?
That's so good.
You're inviting it in. It's no longer at the door. You say, come on in. Very next line is, and its desire is for you. We got to be pretty clear here. This is a sexual connotation. So you've invited predation in. You've invited evil in. Ego in. And it's going to have its way with you.
That's so true, yeah.
Not only does it have its way with you sexually, but it gives birth to something. And what it gives birth to is your life. And your life is now
this is heavy.
unconscious. Your life is now filled with anger. Your life is now not worth living. I've given birth to this thing that I'm disgusted by. But this is an archaic old document. We probably shouldn't pay attention to it. It's like, do you know how much wisdom is in that one fucking line?
Dude, it is so...
I'm getting goosebumps just
I know,
talking
yeah,
about
it's so
it. It's
heavy.
like, that's the spirit inside of me.
Yes.
That's the spirit of Cain. That's me choosing to live selfishly. My ego and predation has its way with me, and I give birth to something disgusting. And what I give birth to is this addicted life. And I don't want to live that way anymore. I don't want to be like Cain.
There's nothing honorable about Cain.
No, absolutely
and
not.
especially for me as a man, it's like, that's one of my things. When you look at knights, and that archetypal of being a knight and being like a good knight, like a good knight, like an honorable man that's willing to, he's not going to fight. He seeks peace, but when he has to fight, he's going to fight, and he knows how to fight, and he's ready.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to help.
Yes.
He'll go slay the dragon. He's going to help the lady in distress and all those archetypes.
Yeah.
That's honorable.
That's phenomenal.
That's what I view as honorable. Cain, on the other hand, is that guy that, to me, is that slivery, little tiny guy that doesn't give two fucks about anything. He's going to run away the minute trouble hits.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to blame everybody else. Just the opposite of what you would want to be as a man. I mean, it disgusts me even thinking about the spirit of Cain.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that we've brought this up, because when I look at it in my life, you can bring that crouching, you can feel all that and sense it when you read it. And then it just makes part of me, like in a good way, look at it and say, I don't want to have anything to do with this.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like yuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's gross. That's disgusting. And I know, hopefully I can be self-aware enough when I realize not to open that fucking door.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's my responsibility to open the door. It's crouching, waiting. But if I open the door, I open myself up for an attack.
And then, the verse does, it's important that you talked about the archetype of the knight, and that there's a way to conquer this chaos. There's a way to rise up above and beat the predation. The line ends with, but you must master it.
That's so good, bro.
And it ends.
Not hide from it.
No, it doesn't say hide from it. It doesn't say, okay, just live a horrible life and die. Like, it says, no, you must master it. You must have the high aim, the perfect ideal. That's why you head in that direction. That's why we want to be like Abel. That's why I want to invite the spirit of Abel into my life. Can I master my ego?
Mm-hmm. The shadow work that Carl Jung talks about.
Yes.
Get in there. No.
Exactly right.
Who am I?
You need to understand that you're a monster, but you need to choose not to be one.
Mm-hmm.
We all have that. Every single human being has that.
It's addiction that creates, I mean, I'm a monster, but I allow the addiction to crouch in, and I open the door to that addiction, and then the monster's released.
Exactly.
And then I'm just Cain, where I can get to the point to where that anger, that countenance can kill my own brother.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So he rises up, slays his brother. God does not take responsibility for his bad life. So he's like extra angry now and unconscious. Rises up and slews him. And so it's important to understand the psychological interpretation of how the events unfold. It's like, I'm so angry, I'm so selfish, I'm so jealous. It led me to murder. But not only that, the psychological perspective is, well, that was the thing I loved most. That was my ideal.
And you may not murder. You could put being dishonest with.
Yes.
The thing that you love the most. You could put, I hurt this person by stealing from them.
Betraying the person I loved the most.
Yeah.
So the ideal is, I kept it sacred. It was perfect. That idea, it's just an idea. It's perfect. He killed the idea. And it was game over. It was like, life is no longer going to go well for you. He says, my punishment is more than I can bear. He knows that he's turned away from God. It's game over. It's like, there's no coming back from that. You killed your own ideal. And the preceding chapters or the preceding lines are, his generations, and then it's the flood. It's like things have gotten so bad because of the spirit of Cain. We need to wipe this out. And we can go there very easily, or we can have an ideal and we can honor what's sacred inside of us and we can head in that direction. I know I'm human and I know I'm flawed and I'm not ever going to be perfect, but at least it's a direction.
Yes.
And it's better than chaos and the flood.
Yeah, my true reality is my higher self. In that higher self, I am of God. In that, I am perfect.
Absolutely.
And to me, my higher self, there's no addiction. There's none. Like, it's zero. Like, it's all light and love. And that's in me. So it's like, how do I get into that? How do I tap into that? And the verse says it. Do good. So simple, bro.
Do well.
Do well, yeah. Kick ass. Go to it.
Freaking awesome.